everyone, my name is Dominic and today you're tuning in to the Comic Book Report, where we review comic books and graphic novels so you can get an idea of what to read. And today we're doing a quick review for Hawkmoon, the Black Jewel from Titan Comics. From my understanding, this is a Michael Moorcock creation, and this recently released hardcover edition was definitely a pretty interesting read. I frankly have a lot of thoughts, but before we get into those, let me go ahead and say a huge thank you to our contact at Titan Comics for sending over this review copy in exchange for this honest review. And as always, I'd like to shout out our channel sponsor, Panelbound Comics. If you're looking to pick up your own comic book collected editions, I highly encourage you to check out their website. You can find a link to them in the video's description, and if you see anything on that site you like, you can actually use my discount code at checkout, TheComicBookReport, to save $2 off of your order. Please note if you use my affiliate link or code to make a purchase, I will earn a small commission, but it's a fantastic way to support this channel. Thank you very much for considering. Now let's get started with today's comic book review. First, some quick facts about today's collection. The graphic novel was written by Jérôme Gris, with art from Benoît Dellac and Didier Poli. The graphic novel was published by Titan Comics beginning in 2025. The volume itself collects Hawkmoon, the Black Jewel. And finally, this is an oversized hardcover edition with glossy print paper stock, what I believe to be a glued binding, and a total of 64 pages. At this time, I'd like to go ahead and issue a general spoiler warning. I will be flipping through the contents of today's collection and commenting on plot points throughout. You've been advised. I'd also like to issue a mature content warning. This comic has instances of violence and scenes of nudity. While I have made effort to cut around some of the more explicit scenes here, I just wanted to make sure mature reader discretion advised. Okay, and here's our first dedicated look at the front cover for today's collection. You'll note that it is a hardcover edition. We don't have a dust jacket nor a slipcase for this hardcover, just the hardcover itself. We have some incredible artwork with our primary character here in chains on the front. We have Michael Moorcock's Hawkmoon and the subtitle of the collection, The Black Jewel. Then we have the creators up top of this particular graphic novel. All things considered, a really beautiful front cover for this book. As we transition to the spine, we do have a little image on the very top of the spine, followed by Moorcock, the name of the creator of this character, I believe. Then the last names of the creators of this particular graphic novel. We have the title, Hawkmoon, and then once again the subtitle, and with the volume number, Volume 1, The Black Jewel, and of course the Titan Comics logo there at the bottom. This is all on a field of what looks like black, and overall it looks very striking on the bookcase. I really think the design work here is pretty great. Along the back cover now, we have some more art up top, followed by a review, a blurb about the collection, what you can expect, pricing information, logo, all pretty standard fare for the back of a hardcover. If you can't tell as well, too, the hardcover itself on the exterior has kind of a glossy sheen. You might be even seeing some glare as I'm filming, but I like that as well. It looks very polished. I'm becoming a really big fan of Titan Comics in general. I feel like they've come out with some pretty good series, and their collected editions are always really well crafted. And now, as I like to do, just a quick look at this book's binding. I mentioned earlier I think it's a glued binding, but now that I'm looking at it, I'm actually not sure if it might be sewn. Honestly, it's such a small collection, it's almost hard to tell here, but it does have an eye, and the pages lay down really great. Really no gutter loss in this collection. I'm pretty impressed. You, of course, will get another view of the binding. Just as I flip through the book, you'll get to see what I'm talking about, but yeah, I really didn't notice gutter loss here. Now, before we jump into the book, I did want to do some size comparisons so you can understand what I mean when I say this collection is oversized. To do that, I have it next to a book I recently finished from Dark Horse. This is Powers Volume 1 by Bendis and Oeming. I am planning to do a review of that title as well if it hasn't come out already on the channel. But as you can see, Hawkmoon stands taller than it as far as the trim size or height goes, and it's quite a bit wider. So you can see from a couple different angles here just what I'm talking about. Definitely a noticeable oversizing, and I like that. This more boxy format I've seen with things like DC Black Label releases. I think it's just a fantastic showcasing of art and art-centric like books. Titan Comics, I know, also had a Sherlock Holmes book I reviewed on the channel that was also kind of a large box format. Really like that as well. And then, of course, I wanted to do a size comparison next to another oversized format, the Omnibus Edition. To do that, I have Conan the Barbarian, the Original Years Omnibus Volume 2, also from Titan Comics. I grabbed this because I'm currently reading this edition. I did review the Volume 1 on the channel not too long ago, and I'm happy to say Roy Thomas's era on Conan is still going strong here in Volume 2. As you can see, the height of Hawkmoon next to the Omnibus, it stands just about as tall, trim-wise, but it does appear to be a bit wider. Again, I wanted to do these size comparisons to give you a sense of scale. If you are a collected edition collector and have some of these other formats available, you can see how Hawkmoon stands up. While we're looking at it too, let me know in the comments if you happen to be a Conan the Barbarian fan. I know I've reviewed some of his titles here on my channel. I'm really getting into the character, especially the more non-explicit or non-graphic nudity side of his bibliography. Really liking the original run on Conan the Barbarian. Just would like to hear who else is reading. Okay, and with that done, we can jump into the collection proper, and right away we're treated to some beautiful ornate end pages. I absolutely love them. They're so stunning. We have a title page, we also have some publication information, things about Titan Comics, some of the staff. We have another title page here, some of the creators, we have the subtitle, of course, the Titan Comics logo. And then I'm happy to say we have a 2-page spread here where we have an introduction. I really liked this. I think it set the tone for the work, and it gives you a little bit of background to understanding the world, especially since this is a more brief collection. If you're not familiar with the character and with this introduction, I think you have everything you need to start fresh with this book. I certainly didn't know who Hawkmoon was, but I felt like by the end of this collection, I had a better appreciation. And I really just appreciate things like that little introduction. After that, though, we jump right into the world of Hawkmoon. We have this really just wild kind of siege battle situation. We're introduced to our main character, the titular Hawkmoon, Dorian Hawkmoon. He lives in kind of a post-apocalyptic kind of future that's totally held under the rule of this horrible regime. Throughout the pages of this, he actually gets captured and they implant the black jewel into his head, which gives him these weird visions and causes him excruciating pain whenever his captors want to control him. And they're using him now to the best of their abilities for their own political games. He is a warrior and all of these things, but he's completely held under sway by this jewel implant in his forehead. Along the way, we're meeting some supporting cast. We have a man trying to defend his daughter from a kind of abusive suitor of sorts. We have a lot of just cool looks at this landscape, this kind of high fantasy future landscape. It's very, very different than things that I'm familiar with. I would almost say it feels more medieval until you realize some of the architecture looks like it might be somewhere in the future or just in the really different kind of world. Overall, I thought the setting was one of the crowning jewels of this piece. I also just thought the art in general was absolutely stunning. I'm really not familiar with the artists attached to this book, but after reading this, I could absolutely see myself trying to pursue other works from these creators. And you'll see a couple battle scenes if you haven't already throughout this work. I know I mentioned earlier there is a scene of nudity or so. That's really in the form of kind of topless servers at this one dinner. I tried to skip around that scene though, of course, for the sake of this video. But that is just something to be aware of. The book itself, though, like I said, it's 60-something pages. You're not going as deep, but with these large artistic formats, you do get a handful of art. There's a surprising amount of effective world building, even in just such a brief little window here. I felt myself endeared to this character of Hawkmoon, and I really felt bummed by his circumstance. The fact that he's getting this implant that hurts him, and he's trying to kind of buck the system and do what he can to liberate himself. I feel like we did have a fun introduction and first step into this world, but it definitely leaves you at the door of a broader storytelling experience, presumably picking up wherever Volume 2 may go. If you are a more adult comics kind of reader who also happens to like kind of high fantasy, light science fiction, almost sword and sorcery kinds of genres, I think that this could be in your wheelhouse. I think certainly if you like some of the other Michael Moorcock characters, this could be something to pursue. If you're familiar with Hawkmoon, certainly something like an adaptation would probably be up your alley. Again, as someone going in relatively blind to this property, if not completely, I felt myself still really getting caught up in the world. I think, again, those sweeping visuals and the characterization we get is all just really, really rock solid. I think the dialogue as well is sharp and interesting. It's nuanced. I think all the characters have distinct voices, and the fact that they were able to pull off what they were in just 60 pages is something commendable. At the back of the collection, we do have some solicits for some other works, author bios, some more material from Titan, those beautiful end pages again, but that really is what we have here with Hawkmoon, the Black Jewel from Titan Comics. Again, a more brief review today, especially because it's a smaller collection, but I'd love to hear your thoughts if you picked up this book or if you generally enjoy Michael Moorcock creations or Titan Comics. I'd love to hear all that in the comments section. And now, the grade. In the category of tiny but mighty reads, this high-concept dystopian fantasy sci-fi series definitely surprised me. For that reason and more, the Comic Book Report is happy to give Michael Moorcock's Hawkmoon, the Black Jewel from Titan Comics, a B. I do consider this an above-average reader, and while I do recommend it for mature audiences only, I think that this had a lot of great world building. The art throughout is absolutely stunning. I think that this would have benefited from being a longer collection just to get further down the line with the storytelling and deepening of the characters. But overall, I was really impressed with the ground they were able to cover in such brief a collection. The book itself is really lovingly made, the art is absolutely stunning, and overall, I'm just really impressed with the level of detail we're getting from these Titan Comics releases. But again, let me know what you think of Hawkmoon, let me know what you think of this review, other Michael Moorcock creations, other works from Titan Comics, and more, all in that comments section. Again, a huge thank you to those at Titan for sending this over for review, and as always, all of you for taking this journey along with me. Until next time, this has been the Comic Book Report. Please don't forget to leave your like, those comments we talked about, and maybe check out another one of my videos on your way out. Thanks everyone, and have a good one.